Hello and welcome back to the Two Brits, One Yank podcast. My name is Wanjau-Smith. To my left,
Sam Bone.
and to my right,
Conor Kelly.
Now, for those of you who watched the first episode, you'll notice that we are no longer in the Coach and Horses pub, if you're watching on YouTube. We were meant to go there this morning. It is the Tuesday after the Coventry game, and unfortunately, we didn't get back until about 2:30 in the morning. So we decided to come to Bony's house. We haven't told his roommate Beth, who really wanted a shout out on the first episode, so, well, this is more than a shout out. We're now on your sofa. And we're hoping that she doesn't come back from work.
We've got an hour.
About an hour. So this episode is definitely going to be shorter than the last.
Thank God.
I think we have to first off start by saying all the support on the first episode has been amazing. It's definitely surpassed our expectations. I've had people coming up to me in the street. I think a lot of people have forgotten that me and Connor actually play football because everyone's been coming up to us saying, "Oh, we love the podcast," which actually is very refreshing and we absolutely love it.
I'm in danger of becoming a full-time podcaster, so I want everyone to remember I still play football.
I've got to give a shout out to Oliver Ash, one of our co-owners at Maidstone United, who has complimented us all on the podcast. But he did say to me that I need to focus on the day job and get back fit.
He also said Connor needs to speak more as well. Yeah. And brother.
No. He said you need to let me speak more.
Me?
No.
Oh yeah,
you
I was going to say soul.
More so.
For those of you who did watch the first one, you can tell that I can be a little bit overpowering sometimes. And I like to talk. He
can't sit still. He's got to say something, or do you know what I mean?
The issue is that I spoke so much, and I'm the one who had to edit the first podcast. And by the time we managed to put it out,
I say you're sick of your own voice.
I actually hated it, which is very, very strange for me.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
I hated it as well.
Have you watched it since we've gone live?
I only watched it when we did the premiere.
Yeah.
Then I started watching the first hour, and then I just went and took myself off whilst you were watching it. And I was like, I can't listen.
How many times have you watched it?
Like, I think 4. And to be honest, like, I thought I had an alright sounding voice. Now I know what everyone's talking about because it doesn't sound too good. I was the same. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I've listened to it a few times on 3.5 times speed on Spotify. Mm-hmm. It's quite entertaining. It's got to boost those views a little bit.
So you're boosting That's good. The view counts are light.
I would never have admitted that on the pod. Hey, but no one else can see that view count. It's just us. So
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I've also noticed that I know that we obviously mentioned that I had ADHD and I like to fidget a lot. And I shouldn't have worn this ring today because everyone has commented that I can't stop playing with it.
We'll toss it outside.
No. He's going to be lost. He's going to talk even more now.
But no, this is the day after Coventry. Unfortunately, we have lost. Oh, no, actually, before I go back, Craig Fagan. Have to give a shout out to Craig Fagan and the brother shout.
Yeah.
For those of you who listened to the first one, when I listened to it back about 75 times, I didn't even notice that we said it that much.
I didn't think it was that bad. And I still don't think it's... Well, I don't know, actually.
But if you speak to us...
I've watched it a good few times as well, so... I don't think it's that bad.
If you speak to us in real life and you know us, we just say it in like a matter-of-fact way. Like,
we always say it.
Say it like ironically.
Solely.
Like someone said anything, you're like, oh, brother, I can't believe that, brother. Yeah. It's just what we say. It's just part of our lingo. So we're trying to tone it down a little bit. I know Jeannie wasn't too happy with the brother.
Shout out to my mom, Jeannie Kelly. She said the two things she said was my posture wasn't good. She's worried about me getting misaligned after my op, and then the second thing was stop saying brother so much. So mom, you see better posture today, and we're gonna try to not say brother as much.
Jeannie, I've got to say something as well. I know that you're very precious over your boy.
Hey, what's it like?
Sorry. But please. Stop getting him worried because he has been such a prima donna with his ankle.
He's been a nightmare. He's been a nightmare since we've arrived here. We've been here, an hour and a half?
Trying to set everything up. Is he any help? Of course not.
Oh, I'm lounging, you know. I was in there with my little fizzy lemonade, had my leg up.
You're chilling.
It was nice, yeah.
To be fair, I was the same. I've been sat here for about 45 minutes. I've been rushing from your own home. It's lovely.
I've been rushing around trying to do things, and I'm just glad that I was sat down and we're talking.
Yet again. I think it's fair to say me and you have done pretty much nothing. Sol sort of set it all up. Shout out to Tops. We got a new, what is it? Producer?
Producer. That's a
new member. George behind there. He's actually hiding behind the light. You can't see him.
And we're actually using his...
He's taken Ben Mack's spot today.
We're using
Which
his
is
iPhone
great.
15 as well. So
yeah,
if the
facts.
main camera looks good, then shout out to George because he's helped us out there.
Yeah, we haven't hit the big bucks yet and afforded a new camera or anything.
Yeah.
This is just our friend's phone.
Perhaps
So.
we'll just have to get him here every time we record. Or something.
Using him for his phone. But I've got to say, Jeannie, you're getting this you're getting this boy so worried about his ankle that he actually made a big demand on the coach yesterday.
Oh God.
So he
Go on,
didn't actually want to come on the coach because he has to keep his ankle up 24/7. And when I say 24/7, I mean 25/7. It's all the time. And he was like, I can't come to Coventry if my ankle's not up in the air. So he called the club secretary and he said, listen, Tux, you've got to get me an extra seat so that I can come on the coach. And there was only one seat left, which meant that my poor landlords, Ian and Rose Southgate, had to drive themselves because of this prima donna.
Just,
You know what? I didn't even realize that.
Well, sometimes your actions
Wow.
have consequences,
Do you know-
brother.
do you
No, why didn't you tell me that beforehand?
Well, brother, I want to see you.
brother,
I was gonna go-
Too much. Was taking too
Do you
much
know what
credit.
happened yesterday on the way back?
Talk to me.
So I thought to myself, I see Connor down there lonely, chatting with Reece, to be fair. So I was like, let me go and see him, chat with him. Anyway, as you do, on the motorway, the bus starts to shake. He's obviously switched lanes or something. I nearly go into his leg. Do you know what he says to me?
I can imagine.
Called me 18 stone. And you did as well. I'm not even just saying, you did. And that cut me deep.
Just before your big game. Or was it
after.
No, it's
Oh,
after, even worse.
Yeah.
He had
I was gonna
25,
say.
he had 25 slices of pizza in his hand and his mouth. That's why running down the.
Yo, you
Brother,
gonna
you
take
disrespecting
that?
yourself again.
Sorry,
Disrespected by him
No,
last night. And
but
now
I will
you.
say, I know we're all joking around. I actually had no clue about Ian and Rose, so you said that. I actually feel quite bad.
Sorry,
so
Ian and Rose.
I have to give Ian and Rose an apology there. But there ended up being a fair few spare seats as well because a lot of people drove up and met us
Yeah,
in
but like
Coventry.
going back then, obviously Fowler went with his missus.
Yeah, but even the way up
Paul
there was
went
space.
back.
Yeah,
There wasn't any
because
space
yeah,
for me.
Yeah, enough space for you. It's
I had
packed
to
to the
sit
back.
on the floor.
well, no, up
to
front,
get some
'cause
space.
up front, because I had to sit up front away from you guys. But we'll go back to that later.
Yeah, we didn't want his breath at the back. That's why stinking out the place. But no, Coventry obviously, unfortunately, lost the game 5-0. But I would not say it's a 5-0 game. I should probably ask you because you're the only one out of us that played.
You had to get the scoreline in.
Well,
there, did
come
you?
on, people are going to know the
I
score
was just
anyway.
going to say we lost.
I'm going to say,
Yeah, that's
unfortunately, the game came a little bit too soon for me to be fit. Came about 3 months too soon for you to be fit.
Yeah,
So
I was trying to get the delayed. Had an appeal to the FA, but they denied it.
It's quite selfish from the players actually, not letting
Why?
me get back to full fitness and not getting to the final so you could play.
That's what I'm saying. I was just saving myself for Wembley this whole time. Now I have to come back for National South. Be back next week.
Do you know who I'm actually blaming?
Who?
Matthew Thomas Rush. Shout out to Matthew Thomas Rush. But we didn't actually mention this in our previous episode. But Connor, myself,
yeah.
and Matt Rush, we were sat just behind the bench at Ipswich. Now, Connor, are you wearing the necklace today?
I'm wearing it. So my trusty cross that I always wear when it seemed like it was impossible for Ipswich to score towards the end. You know, Luke's making every save in the book. They're hitting the post. After every chance, I'll pull out my necklace. We'd all give it a kiss. So I go like that. So would give it a kiss, and then Rushy would give it a kiss as well. But for some reason, you can finish it.
Well, Rushy decided to sit a little bit away from us. I think it might be because we like to talk quite a lot. Maybe Rushy wanted to be zoned in on the game, but there was a few people in between us. We weren't able to kiss the cross early doors, and well, we know how that went. So
It's actually
blame Rushy.
we have a funny story from Ipswich. So it's about the 88th minute, I would say, and they've come really close. Luke has made another worldly save to go to like the 15 others that he had, and as I'm leaning over, we're to the left of the tunnel. The tunnel's in the middle, and then the Ipswich bench is on the right. And as I'm leaning over for Rushy to kiss my cross, I just look into the eyes of like Amari Hutchinson. I think a few other Ipswich players were looking at us, and I was just like, "This looks so unprofessional."
And they were just like so confused.
They're just like, "What is going on? Why are they kissing this grown man's neck?"
But no, the support last night was unbelievable. Seeing all the Stones fans behind the goal, the chanting before the game, even after the game was absolutely mental. And I've got to give a shout out to the Coventry fans because I think that was a very different atmosphere to the Ipswich game. Obviously, a 12:30 kickoff for Ipswich was a little bit quieter, a few more families, a few more kids. But that, especially that corner, the South Stand or whatever it's called at Coventry, the fans were unbelievable.
Apart from the young lad who saw us in the village and walked past our team, and he goes, "You lot are getting battered tonight."
Yeah.
Like, that's ballsy to be fair
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
Like, I would not walk past
but
the team and say, you're getting battered.
He went straight down the stairs as he was
That's
saying
true.
it and didn't look
And
back.
he was also stood in front of us as we were taking the squad picture and didn't say anything. And then decides as he's about to go down the stairs.
Little mutter.
Yeah, you're getting battered tonight.
But I've got to ask you, Bony, what was it like playing in that game, and probably compared to the Ipswich game?
He was just incredible. Like, apart from the game itself, the atmosphere, and we were saying it, weren't we, before the game, it was different to Ipswich. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but Coventry was, I'd say, probably more modern. How many was there yesterday?
26,000, I think.
Yeah.
It felt like more. Like, when the first whistle went, and I hope to God someone's got it on record, because I remember when the first whistle went and they started singing. I don't know what song they were singing, but it was so loud. I actually said it to BBC Radio last night after the game. You stood there and you're taking in the atmosphere, and then the whistle goes. You're like, oh, like I got to get myself into game mode now, you know. But again, you can tell that there's levels to the game. You know, Coventry was so good, so sharp, and so clinical. I think that could have been maybe the slight difference it was obviously the difference, but Ipswich, we obviously rode our luck and stuff, but I felt like yesterday Coventry was so clinical.
We were saying in the stands that Ellis Sims probably only had about 5 or 6 like meaningful touches in the first half.
Yeah.
And he had a hat trick.
Yeah.
Like he was so clinical. And I must say, before the game, when we walked out initially, we both said to each other, like, the stadium looks so high.
Yeah.
Because it was like all enclosed.
Yeah.
We were saying, imagine what the Bernabeu's like.
Yeah.
Like walking out. There was, what is it, 40,000?
Man, that was
It's about
honestly
two and a half times the size of it.
Yeah, like
boys.
absolutely
Honestly,
mental.
that last night was just different. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, because there's so many different ways to describe how I felt yesterday. I couldn't justify it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was just madness. And I was saying it to the boys yesterday. I don't think I've ever been so happy after a 5-0 loss. To have my nan and granddad who come over from Cyprus, my mum, my dad, my brother, my close friends. It was just so special. And obviously my granddad was there to experience the Ipswich game, and he was there obviously to see us win. I think my nan then got a little bit jealous and she wanted to come over. So it was just so special to
I must interject, actually. I've seen your grandparents' video on BBC.
my granddad needs media training, like really badly.
I actually want to edit it in because it was so funny.
I think you might have to.
It was so good. It was so cute.
I was watching it going, Granddad, you carry on speaking. He looks so cold as well, bless him. But again, that's a memory that I'll remember now for the rest of my life. You know, getting to spend this cup run with them is just so special, and I'm so indebted to the boys. I'm so grateful, and I'm just full of gratitude because they've given me this moment. They've given my family this moment. And it must be special for you boys as well.
All I must say is it was special even for me yesterday to have my family there, because like I said in the last pod, they couldn't get to Ipswich. So I had about 35 tickets yesterday of like all my friends and family, and I didn't even play last night, and it was special. Like I even got to see them before the initial whistle and stuff, and before the kickoff, and it was just lovely. So I can't even begin to imagine how it was for your family, being a boy from Maidstone.
Yeah,
your boyhood club. You grew up in this town. It must have been amazing. I saw a few Sam Bone masks as well.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
I actually got sent a video. Everyone was using them in the pubs and all dancing. It's pretty cool, man.
You could have been there in disguise.
Thanks. Right, no, but
18
it is.
stone Sam Bone. No, that's the one. That's the one over there.
Hey,
No.
I made one joke with it. He's
can
running
I
with
just
it.
say, right, and we'll touch on this as we get on in the episode, but again, when I went and sat with Connor yesterday, he was asking about my Irish stint and how I got on and stuff. And he said, did the St. Pat's fans like you? And I said, well, actually, I've got a funny story. When I played for Waterford, we played them in the first game of the season. And at Pat's ground, it's quite enclosed, so you're like right beside the fans. And I was playing right back. And I told him the story of I was running up and down the wing. And all I can hear from
It probably wouldn't say running, let's be honest. No, sorry, I've gone too far.
Right, no,
I'm
seriously.
joking.
We're fighting after this. We're fighting.
Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, I'm running down the wing, and all I can hear from the fans is, Bone, I'll say you're about 18 stone, and that's me being generous. So I nearly started crying when I heard that, obviously. But I told Connor yesterday, and I haven't heard the end of it.
The thing is,
Now Sol knows as well.
Connor,
I told him in good faith as well.
To be fair, I don't even know how much 18 stone is.
As you can see, am I fast forwarding this? But obviously, we're showing off the shirts.
yes,
Do you want to start, or Connor? Connor, yours is a pretty cool story, actually.
yours is a very cool story.
Well, first off, hey, you best get me. Yeah, I have to give a massive shout out to Sol here because obviously I was on crutches, so I was out for the warm up. But no, I was sitting on the bench, and I don't want to go near the pitch, like kind of get too involved, And Sol was kind enough. Instead, he wanted to swap shirts with Casey Palmer, and instead of setting that up, he actually went to my fellow American Haji Wright, Coventry's record signing, and said, "You see, my friend over there on crutches is American. He would really like your shirt." After the match, and he was like, "Yeah, no problem." So after the match, I was looking for him. I went to the Coventry dressing room after we had our team talk. And this just shows the levels between the game. I asked their kit man where he was, and they're like, "Oh, he's around the corner in the cryotherapy chamber." And I was like, "Wow!"
Really?
I was like, "Wow!"
Like, well, what do we have to use? These moldy.
Yeah, we use green bins that are filled with cold water. Which, hey, I mean, they do the job. They do the job all the same.
They're not quite minus 150 degrees or whatever, but they are effective. But I must say that it was quite lucky, a bit like with the Wes Burns story, how I just bumped into him and. Chi, got to give another shout out to Chi. Chi was saying to me, he was like, I got to get Haji's shirt, man. I was saying, look, Connor didn't get a shirt at Ipswich. Mm-hmm. He's American. Mm-hmm. Actually, in the programme, it said he was British.
And a goalkeeper as well.
So, I don't know how much to know about you, to be honest.
At least they spelled my name right. They got the one N, which is
I
probably
swear
the
they called
hardest
Gav Justin or something in
They
the
did,
programme.
Yeah,
They did.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Justin Hoyt,
I think they
his
spelled
brother.
Lucas's last name wrong, so I'm in good company there of the people they've made mistakes with.
Very
but-
true.
Yeah.
They might
Yeah.
think you're above 5'9", which is, hey, that's a plus, man.
Hey, listen, I'll take it.
But anyway, as soon as I heard that as soon as I heard that Connor wanted the shirt, and I knew that other people were going to go after it, I said, I've got to try and at least help him. Like, if that was me in his situation, I would love for him to try and speak to a player that I wanted. And fortunately enough, he did end up getting the shirt. And I must say, I think you should hold the shirt up for the camera.
Yeah.
The shirt is sick.
It's absolutely massive. It doesn't have a size on it, but it must be like an extra large or maybe even bigger. But yeah, it was so cool, and we had a really nice conversation. He's a lovely guy. My keeper at university when I first got to Duke was actually roommates with him at the U17 national team. So they lived together for a year or two. So yeah, we were chatting about him and then kind of just his career. He's had a really interesting career. I said to him, I was like, it's kind of a bit embarrassing, but I've probably known who you are since you're about 15 or 16 because he scored a hat trick against Brazil under 17s, which, for American footballers, that's a massive deal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he got to move to Germany. He was playing for the New York Cosmos in the USL, which the New York Cosmos don't even exist anymore. And then he got his move to Schalke, and he never really broke through the first team there. Had a tougher stint in Holland, and then went, I think, to Denmark from there and kicked on 2 unbelievable years in Turkey, and now he's doing bits in the championship, and hopefully we'll see him in the Prem next season.
You must actually tell the listeners and tell the viewers the story about Pulisic and how Pulisic actually got signed.
Yeah.
And got scouted because of Haji Wright.
So apparently, word on the street is after Haji Wright was doing unbelievable, Pulisic was obviously in the same team as him, and apparently, what I've heard, again, this might be true. So Pulisic, if you're watching, if you're watching, let me know.
Shout out CP, man.
Apparently, Dortmund were watching Haji Wright and fell in love with Pulisic, and then the rest is history. And he's gone on to do unbelievable things. Probably had the best career of any American in history so far in terms of European accomplishments.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Your football knowledge is wild, man. I'm just listening to you.
Brother
there.
loves-
You're talking about stints in Denmark. And
But
Holland,
we haven't got any like sheets of paper or anything about Haji Wright. That's just all off the dome. So you have to respect
he
it.
has too much time on his hands.
My favourite thing actually about the shirt is that it's long sleeve.
Oh my!
That is so cool.
I love a long sleeve shirt, and they don't make them anymore. We all grew up watching, David Beckham wearing the long sleeve,
Yep.
Sergio Ramos. Like it's such like a distinctive feature of a kit, and they don't really make them anymore. Now it's just skins under a short sleeve. So anytime I collect football shirts, and anytime I have the choice of a long sleeve, I always get it. and I thought it was so cool. You noticed it after about 2 or 3 minutes.
As soon as I saw him come out, really, before he'd even gone out for kickoff, that's when I'd already tried to secure it for Connor. So I was like, oh my God, you're going to get a long sleeve shirt. It's not going to fit you, but that is unbelievable.
It definitely won't fit me. I didn't realize how tall he is. You know, I think he's.
Come on, anyone's tall compared to you, bro.
Yeah,
No
listen.
offense, no offense.
Hey, I'm 5'9". I went to the doctor last week for my op, and they said I'm 5'9". So that means I'll continue telling women I'm 5'10".
Hey, shout out Finn though. Shout out your little brother who's meant to be 6'4" or something.
Yeah, I have a little brother who's 6 years younger than me, and for some reason, you know, same parents. We look alike, so there's no drama there. But yeah, he just happens to be 6'4". So yeah, I've been looking up at my little brother ever since he was about 12, and yeah, it's not the best, but you know, hey, listen.
Shout out Finn. We'll get him on when we go to G Wings 22.
We'll be looking up to him like this.
Yeah.
We'll get him on.
But
what about you, Casey
Well,
Palmer?
I managed to secure KP45, which is, well, if you listen to the last pod, it was the person I was definitely looking to try and
He's
get.
been going on about it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Well, as soon as we got Coventry, I said, I've got to try and get...
Who tried to get it yesterday?
So,
Everyone.
the thing is...
Actually,
he secured
The thing
it
is,
early as well.
Because I decided to do the nice thing and try and help out my friend Connor, I didn't get to speak to him before the game. And that was how I got Wes Burns'. So when I watched the first half, and hey, I know you played, but Casey Palmer was he was ripping it up.
He was so
He was
good.
absolutely running the game. He was so good. And I said, I've got to talk to him before half time, before the second half. Otherwise, I'm not getting that shirt because someone's going to do it before me. Connor was actually sat, where we were sat in the stand, Connor was just before the steps. So I said to Connor, look, I've got your shirt and I've helped you out. You've got to help me out now. You've got to go. You've got to get out of my way with about a minute to go before half time. You can make your way down the steps because I've got to try and get Casey. Fortunately, you did the selfless thing and you got down the steps.
Yeah.
Held
Saw
everyone else up for me.
The 2 minutes at a time, I was like, at 45, I was like, this could take a few. Got up, was waiting by the bench.
And then I just beelined for him. I actually got told off by someone because I covered my mouth like this because obviously we were losing 3-0. I didn't want the gaffer and Craig to see me talking to him and thinking, like, what's he saying? So I was like, Casey, I mentioned in the last pod that I used to coach his son back in Bristol when he was at Bristol City. I asked like how his son's doing and stuff, and just like, obviously I'm a Bristol City fan, massive fan. Would I be able to get your shirt? And he put his arm around me, which you saw and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, of course. And then after the game, because obviously I'm up in the stand, Kips went straight for him after the game, and I could hear him saying, "Oh, can I get your shirt? Can I get your shirt?" And Casey was like, "Oh no, I have to give it to." And I was there, and he was like, "Ah, I have to give it to Sol." Fortunately, he took it off, and I stuffed it straight in my gilet pocket. And people were asking, people were saying, "Oh, who got Casey Palmer's shirt?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know," because the kit man had actually told them apparently that they weren't allowed to give their shirts away because they only had one shirt, different to Ipswich. Ipswich had 2 or 3, but I think it's pretty selfless from the boys, and like they knew that it was such a big occasion for everyone. They were like, "Nah, we're gonna give them away. We're gonna have to give them to the boys." Which I don't know if you can see in shot, but Binksy, shout out to Binksy as well.
Shout out Binksy.
Which
What a guy.
What
absolute
a
legend. He was actually upset
Legend.
that he had to give me an away one. Oh, sorry, a third kit. Sorry, and I was like, brother, that is gonna go lovely,
Who got his
lovely
home
on the
one?
pod. Perry, but Perry used to play at Gills, and
Perry,
Perry's a
yeah,
local
of
boy.
course, of course.
And I wasn't gonna fight. I had already got Casey Palmer's, who everyone wanted. I was not gonna fight him.
Binksy's a legend. We got to get him on. Binksy
Yeah.
will be watching this as well.
Yeah.
I was
Shout
chatting to
out,
him
man.
yesterday.
Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy.
Absolute legend.
And
But
I have to
sorry.
say,
Go on, you go.
they were so nice. The
That's
whole
what I was
team.
gonna say.
Unreal.
That's
Like
what I was gonna say.
I said, good game to Casey Palmer, and then he was asking me about my foot, and we just got chatting, and yeah, I was telling him like I'm a big Chelsea supporter. Like I watched him like growing up, and it's so nice to see like, you know, while he didn't make it at Chelsea, he's doing so well, and he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
He is so good.
And even after in the tunnel, shout out Mo managed to start talking to him, and we all just chatting outside their change room. And Casey even went up to him and was like, "Oh, I know who you are, you know, non-league bagsman." And Mo was absolutely buzzing.
No
Mo was
way.
buzzing. Mo was like, "I've got to get a photo of you." So I took a photo and I was like, "Oh my God, I've got Casey Palmer's shirt here." I was like, "I've got to get a photo of you as well."
Oh, that's
Had a
nice.
photo and I was just like, I was absolutely made up.
And so we're on the coach back, and we're really talking about how crazy it is. And Mo is like, he keeps whispering because he don't want to say it too loud. He's like, should I have him follow me, or should I follow him? And I'm like, yeah, bro. Like he's reposted. So I've skipped a part there.
Yeah.
Mo's posted that story on his photo, and Casey Palmer has reposted it, and Mo is going crazy.
And he's reposted it, non-league bagsman.
Yeah. Mo is going
I saw
crazy,
that.
I don't know if he was nervous, but he keeps whispering, "Oh, like, should I follow him? Should I follow? Do you think I'll get the follow back?" And I'm like, "I would risk it. Like, it's not gonna hurt you." And he followed him, and I think the best moment of Mo Fowle's career came on that coach when he got that notification. Casey Palmer started following you, so yeah,
I've gotta say,
he's buzzing off that.
a little bit embarrassing from me actually. So I'd already posted the picture on my story.
Oh, you're actually gonna out yourself?
I'm gonna out myself because what do you?
And
Well,
hope-
If
and
he
then
didn't,
hope-
I
and
was
then-
about to.
yeah, exactly.
and then
Hey,
hope that he watches
I have
it
nothing
and
to
then
hide.
follows you.
I have nothing to hide on this
Casey,
podcast.
if you're watching this, if Binksy
Well,
tells you
well,
or
let-
Matty tells you, he's absolutely gutted. by
Well,
that.
no,
But
no,
I'll
no.
let
This
you
is not
carry
going to change anything to do with this shirt. I'm going to cherish this shirt. But Connor messages me because we're in different parts of the coach saying, "Oh my God, Casey Palmer's just followed Mo Fowl. Look at his story." And I went straight to his story, reposted. I was like, no. Because I didn't tag Casey in my photo. So I was like, I don't know what to do. I'd seen that like quite a few people liked it. I think.
What'd you
and
say? 150.
I reckon about
people?
150 people had liked it because obviously I'm a Bristol boy.
Yeah.
I was going through and I was like, oh, can I repost this? I deleted it straight away as soon as I saw that Casey Palmer had followed Mo. I said, I'm deleting it straight away. I said, first thing in the morning, boom, I'm posting it. I posted it this morning. KP45, little cold, tagged him. Still not been seen. So hey, Binksy, you might have to help me out. Just maybe a little repost or a little something, just to
He's got
to tell
his phone
Casey.
on aeroplane mode and do not disturb while we record. And I can guarantee you the first thing he's going to check once we've stopped recording is his Instagram.
You never
my
know.
boy, my boy.
Maybe he just hasn't been on his phone in like 18 hours. Who knows?
No, it
I've-
was only this morning.
I've been with this boy when he first got his blue tick, and I've never seen someone so happy. But that
I was
could-
screaming in the car. I can't lie. I
That
was absolutely
could,
screaming.
that could top that. I think.
And you'll be celebrating when you probably won't get one actually.
I think I'm just gonna buy it. I think I'm just gonna buy it at this rate.
Meta verified.
It's never coming.
How many times have you tried?
About
Sorry, Mum,
4
I'm about to
now.
embarrass you.
About
Oh,
4.
God.
Hey,
Listen.
no, but Soul is gonna write my application next time. He
That's
knows
tough.
the secret formula apparently. So if
you
I
wanna
get
come-
it in the next month, it's one of two things. So Soul's written it for me, or I've just said like screw it and I've bought it myself.
It's the power of social media because those blue ticks are like gold dust.
Nah,
I
and
remember. I'm not
I would
gonna-
never buy one. All jokes aside.
No,
that's
I'd like to
miles
think
off
no.
it. Yeah.
Here's the other thing
Yeah.
though. If you look at Lucas doesn't follow. Lucas, you live with Lucas, the keeper.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And he doesn't even
follow
follow you.
I don't follow him though.
Lucas will send photos, send videos and stuff on Instagram to you, and he doesn't even follow you.
It's
like,
it's so weird.
It's so
but
strange.
yeah.
So Lucas was like to me, I looked at his Insta, I said, you don't even have a blue tick. He didn't follow me, so I was like, you don't have a blue tick. He was like, oh, nah, like you can only pay for it now. I said, brother, come here. I set up his application.
Brother
did it-
again, was he?
Oh, sorry. My friend.
Let's do. I think I said at the start. Let's do a brother count. Every time, brother.
But listen,
Ding
I'm
one.
going to have to go through this. It's going to take about an extra 25 hours on the
That's a good point.
I'll
We'll do a
maybe
grand
try.
total at the end.
grand total. Good
Yeah,
shout.
yeah.
But anyway, so I looked at Lucas's his Instagram. Saw he didn't have a blue tick. I said, I'll sort that out for you. Did all the application. Boom. First thing in the morning, blue tick. I said, that deserves a follow.
Yeah, it was first thing.
That deserves a follow. I said, yeah. He even follows Fowler's coaching account,
But not foul.
but doesn't follow him.
I invited him over for Christmas. Obviously, he's from Brazil and all. I didn't want him to spend it on his own because his girlfriend was still in Croatia, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm buying the boys presents, trying to make them feel comfortable. And Lucas tells me, I'll follow you on Instagram. That can be your Christmas present. And I was like, okay, whatever. But like, it's only me, you, because you got him the blue tick. And like I said, Fowler's Football Academy. That's
Yeah.
literally, shout out Fowler's Football Academy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
said
as
it.
well.
Yeah. Well, actually,
Our
I'm
boy
actually
Fowler.
starting to work for on Mondays.
Oh,
Come March.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
So-
position specific training.
Come
yeah.
on.
we
Come
didn't
on.
get the.
Yeah, if,
we didn't get asked.
Well, already got a defender. That's you done. And then
Excuse
Danny.
me?
Where did you play last night for most of the game? Thank you.
He's just showing his versatility though.
Facts.
He can do it all. He can do it all.
Well, yeah, that's the first compliment that you've given me, I'd say.
The non-league 18 stone James Milner.
Yeah, I'm actually getting rinsed on this podcast. Maybe this wasn't a good idea setting up this podcast, actually.
In your own home.
in my head, I thought we'd take the mick out of you. And now it seems to be me.
I know. You
Anyone
said,
can get it. Anyone can get
You
it.
said it was gonna be
We're
me.
coming for him next.
You can
Yeah,
try.
of
You can try,
course.
and I'll back
It is
harder.
hard though. It is hard. You said
He's
you were gonna
petty.
come for me today, so I've just jumped on Saul's bandwagon. I come for you.
Straight at the start, we did say we're coming for you today because you've been a nightmare at the start.
Fair enough. To be.
Just laying here, away with the fairies.
Always.
But anyway, we're waffling on. The shirt I got was Matty Godden's. Obviously, if you watched the previous podcast, I spoke about how he played for my dad's academy. I grew up obviously idolizing him. I think he put on his Insta yesterday. I was about 10 years old when I first met him, and he was the real success story of my dad's academy. So I obviously looked up to him, as did the whole of my dad's academy. He was someone that he's gone on to play in the Football League and stuff, and obviously that's every footballer's dream. So I think it was fate that we drew Coventry. I remember when the draw initially happened, there obviously was disappointment and stuff, but for me it was special because I knew that I'd be able to share the pitch with him, and it was a lovely moment yesterday. We were celebrating with our fans, and I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's Matt, and he was like, "Where's your dad? Where's your dad?" So we tried to point him out in the crowd, and we managed to find him. And then my dad said that, and it's not often my dad sheds a tear. He actually texted me yesterday saying that he started to tear up because it was such a lovely moment. So it was just so special to share the pitch with him. I managed to catch up with him after as well, get his top, which will 100% be framed. I can't wait to frame that. That's actually, that you don't understand. It means so much to me. I don't want to come across as if I'm fanboying, but it is so special. And like I said, it was nice to catch up with him. And he actually did say, didn't he, Connor? Connor, I introduced you. Yeah. He said that he was going to try and come on the podcast. So that'd be incredible. I mean, because he's gone from, he was at Scunthorpe. I believe he made his debut against Man United.
Wow.
And I was actually watching that game live on TV. I really hope I'm not wrong.
That actually does ring a bell. I can't lie.
How does that ring a bell for you?
Because of the Ebbs fleet. I did some searching yesterday because he put on the Instagram caption that he had a fond place in his heart for you being at Maidstone, even after the 2016 playoff final.
Yeah.
So I had to do a little bit of searching.
Right.
And then I think in his Wikipedia it said that he made his debut against...
Yeah. Because I remember watching, I think it might have been at the time, the Carling Cup or the FA. It was one of the cups. So yeah, and then he dropped down then to National League South, played for Ebbs Fleet, and then he's just worked his way up the leagues now. He's obviously in the Championship, banging goals, and he's had an unbelievable career. I think just for the viewers who are young watching this, I think he'd be an incredible guest because he's literally a success story of he's had to drop down the leagues to then sort of spring boost back up. Yeah. So Matty, if you're watching this, it'd be incredible to have you on the podcast, and hopefully we can get that sorted in the summer.
And I think that probably brings us on to the topic of this podcast. It's going to start like a little bit of a mini series about each one of our careers. And today we're going to focus on you, Bony. And for the viewers and the listeners, Bony's going to talk a little bit about his experiences, or we're hoping him to. And we're going to interject with some questions because, like I said, we've all had very different paths. We've all had very different experiences. So especially when we get to like Connor, we're going to not understand or anything really about the US system.
Yeah, I don't think many of the audience will, to be fair.
But that's good though, because then hopefully that brings Americans and they can relate to your story, you know?
Yeah.
So if we start you off, Bony, we'd like to know, like, what was your first initial footballing memory?
I'd say it was when I'd just come back from Malaysia. I was 5 years old when I come back from Malaysia, and I was football mad. My dad finished his career out there, so I sort of grew up sort of watching my dad play and stuff, you know. So that was just in my blood to football. But I remember my dad telling me that I was going to go to not the local field, but like to a local football centre, and I was going to play football. And I rocked up, and he'd signed me up for a team. The team's called Park Farm Rangers. It was a local side. King actually played.
The boy.
King was there. King was centre back actually. My friend Tyron, who I'm really close with, he was there. But that was my first footballing memory, and my time at Park Farm, it was just incredible, you know. Even to this day, I still speak with ex-teammates. It's funny how football works like that, but ex-teammates and stuff. And at the time, my dad used to work on Saturdays. That's when he probably used to coach Matty on a Saturday morning. So he could never take me to the games. My mum had her epilepsy, so she wasn't able to drive at that time. And it was actually Tyron's mum, Janita. She used to take us every Saturday morning. She used to get like little celebrations. So you see at half time, instead of the oranges, did you ever used to have the oranges at half time?
Yeah.
No wonder 18 stone. No wonder. Tyron's mum started it off.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, she used to bring the little selection boxes and stuff, and at half time would eat chocolates and stuff like that. But that was such a special time. That was when I sort of started to love football. I know I'm saying about obviously being football mad, but I suppose when you start playing, that's when you really, get your love for it, And my time there was just incredible, and yeah, fond memories.
And I think that's important to say, that for a lot of kids out there who aspire to be professional footballers, which we're very fortunate that we're in that position, I can definitely say, like you, Bony, that when I first started playing football, it wasn't, oh, I want this to be my career. This is what I want to do when I'm older.
Literally.
It was,
you were just playing for the fun of it.
we just loved it. We
Just
loved playing
loved
with our
it.
friends. We love enjoying it. We love the school being over on a Friday, thinking tomorrow I've got a game, I've got training tonight. And I think that's really important for kids to understand, that even though we are in this fortunate position, it wasn't always, I want to be a footballer.
100%.
Do you have any memories of being in Malaysia?
No. I remember being on the pitch with my dad. There's some pictures there of he played for a team called Home United. I can't remember if that was in Singapore or Malaysia. But that was my only sort of football memory. I remember the apartment. One of my dad's friends, Marcus, I remember, he was a close friend of my dad, so he used to always chill with my dad, during trainings and stuff. I used to be around him, but that's the only real memory I have, and that's something that I do want to do, is go back to Malaysia and go and see where he started his football career and stuff.
Now, we've already been spammed with quite a few messages about your eligibility to play for Malaysia. Is that something that you would like to do potentially in the future, or you're just concentrating on your career in England?
Yeah, well, it's not something that, I mean, I've got so many, do I call them fans? I suppose they are fans that comment on my Instagram posts. I get so many DMs saying, bro, you need to play for Malaysia in the Asian qualifiers and stuff. It's not something that I've ever looked into. There was a bit of hype around it, but I've never looked into it about, possibly getting the passport and representing them. And who knows? I mean, that could be something that I look at in the future, but obviously with the way the season's gone and stuff, I suppose it's not at the forefront of my mind,
No, of course.
Yeah, you could be like the Malaysian Ben Brereton Diaz, right?
Yeah.
Found through
Represent
Football
Chile.
Manager to have,
And that's
Chilean-
how it was founded.
Was it?
Yeah, that's how it was founded.
Wow.
So for the viewers that play Football Manager, in fact, I have so many texts from people who play it, and they say that, I'm missing you because you're representing Malaysia during the season, and I'm not eligible to play for Maidstone then during the season in Football Manager. But that's how it was founded, from someone who was playing the game, recognised that I was born in Malaysia, and then it's just sort of blew up from there.
Yeah. Are you still holding out hope for the England call-up? Is that what's making you delay it?
Or maybe the Irish call up, because
Yeah.
Brother, I lost hope for that England call-up quite a while back.
Hey, you never know. Jamie Vardy did it.
Well, there we go. Then
Yeah.
I'll keep striving for it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's out of the picture now. So I don't think I have to worry about that.
Yeah, Southgate's pretty set with his midfield, isn't
I was going to say Bellingham.
maybe a
and
defender.
he? Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? No, not a defender. Not a defender. No.
Sorry. I think we should probably go a little bit further back to your earlier days. So you said that you started off at Park Farm with your friends, and obviously your families and stuff who used to take you to the game. Where did it kind of go from there?
I'm nearly sure Park Farm sort of folded. Locally, there was a side called Kennington, which a lot of the boys went to play there. But I don't want to sound arrogant in saying this, but I think as you get older, you sort of recognise that you have some sort of ability and stuff. And at the time, there was a team called Trinity, which was based in Ramsgate, but they were a really good side. Used to win the divisions and stuff. And I went there for I think I did about 2 years. Well, no, I did longer. But the way it works is when you go into the Kent League, I can't remember exactly what age it is you go into the Kent League, but it has to come under a different name. So I obviously played for Trinity, and then we turned into Ramsgate, and then we played in the Kent League, and I was there for a number of years, and that was, we used to win the leagues all the time.
So your dad wasn't your manager at Ramsgate?
No, so what happened was my dad was a separate academy, so
Okay.
I'd obviously play my football for Ramsgate, and during the week then my dad would have his academy, and we'd train once a week, and then during the half terms because my dad had built up these contacts through his playing career, during the half terms and all, he'd set up tours to go and play against, Sunderland. I remember we played against Hull City. Nicky Bambi was actually Craig actually knows him really well. I noticed that on his socials last week. Nicky Bambi was the manager of, I think at the time was like the under 11s and stuff. And I remember as a young kid, you grow up sort of watching him, and I was like, oh my God, Nicky Bambi's the manager, and that was really special. But my dad was separate, so my league football was with Ramsgate. My dad then, he was convinced to set up a Sunday league side to compete in the Kent League. So I think a few boys from his academy signed up for the team. So did I. So I left Ramsgate, and we're playing in this league, but we were getting beat every week. And I think it, bless my dad, I think it was stressful for him as well as well as trying to run his academy. So, but when we folded, I went to Kennington then, which again, I knew like loads of the team, etc. And I played there for about 2 months, and that was when I was about 14. So I used to Ira Jackson, Ira Jackson.
Yeah, shout out Ira.
So I used to meet him and train with him and his dad. And I remember my dad drove past me as I was on my bike going to the local pitch, and he said to me, Charlton are coming to watch you this Sunday. So I was like, wow, like I've got to be on it here. And I had a knack from when I was younger. I used to go missing in the big games. I think putting pressure on I used to. Don't say what I think you're about to say.
I think so.
Do not think.
I think with his eyes, I could tell he was going to say when you were younger.
Yes.
No, I didn't say anything.
Don't even go there.
I didn't say anything.
But yeah, obviously, so I was super excited about that. They come to watch me and actually had a really good game. I scored twice. And yeah, my dad said to me after, he said, you're going in Tuesday. So I was like, this was incredible, Charlton. At the time with the championship, I remember going in for my first session and Ricardo Fuller was there.
Wow.
Everyone remembers
big player.
Ricardo
Big
Fuller.
player.
Yeah, he was there, and I was obviously starstruck and stuff like that. He'd played in the Prem for
Stoke,
for
right?
Stoke.
Yeah.
I was going to say Stoke, yeah. But turned up, did well, and my first trial match was against Tottenham at Tottenham's brand new training facility as well. So that was such a cool experience to go and play there. But at the time, who's the lad from Sporting? Who was
Marcus Edwards.
Marcus Edwards.
Yeah.
Absolutely gave me the runaround. Like, I still to this day don't know how I got signed after that performance. Like, I obviously did some things well. And I just think because it was against that caliber of player, it just so happened Charlton signed me straight away.
And he's like a England youth international. And
Yeah,
stuff, like.
but he was so good.
And if you've never seen like the Marcus Edwards videos, I think it was for England under 16s when he was like 14.
Yeah.
And he's got this big afro.
He had the afro.
The green hypervenoms on. He is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I think a lot of people thought, there's even videos online that said like he's going to be the next Messi and stuff.
He
Like,
was so good. But he even ripped up a few seasons back when Sporting were in the...
When they came back to Tottenham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ripped it up.
Yeah,
I
he's-
always remember his interview, post-match interview. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's so funny. So roadman, man. You can tell he's from London.
It's the ends.
From the ends, yeah. But yeah, so I signed there and happy days. I got myself a contract. I don't know how it worked, whether it was till the end of the season or I can't exactly remember what I'd signed, but yeah, sure enough, I was a Charlton player. And it's funny because so when I played Sunday League, I was like the big dog. Sort of everyone, I don't want this to come across wrong,
It's
but
a big fish in a small pond.
yeah, exactly. Everyone sort of looked at Sam Bone and said, oh, well, he's one of the really good players in the league. And going into Charlton, then you're a small fish. Literally, you're a small fish. I remember going in there, Esri Konsa was in there and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
Ademola Lookman.
he wasn't there at the time.
Oh, he wasn't there yet.
No, he wasn't there at the time. He was actually playing Sunday League until the very end of under 16s. Could have even been at the start of Scholars.
Wow.
But we'll come on to that because that's a pretty cool story. But yeah, I remember going there and when I was signed, I didn't drop my levels, but I wasn't performing as well as I could have been. I found myself out of the team and stuff, and yeah, it was tough because I was struggling then for confidence, and I was quite shy at that age as well. I didn't really get in amongst it with the boys and stuff, and there were times I'd actually dread training. To be honest, I didn't want to go in there. I didn't really enjoy it.
I think
but
sorry, I think I've had a similar situation where when you're going into an unknown environment,
it can be
it
daunting.
can be really daunting. And when
Yeah.
there's
It can be
boys
really
that are
daunting.
established
Yeah.
in those sort of teams,
Yeah.
and they've already got their friendship groups and stuff, and then at the end of the day, you're coming in there to take their shirt, take their place. It can be really, really intimidating.
And
I'll
I
tell
think it's harder at a younger age as well.
No, of course.
You know, people. I think when you're young, when you're a teenager, people are clickier.
Yeah,
there's less
it's easy.
movement between
100%.
clubs. You know, you have boys that'll sign for Charlton at 8 and play until they're 18.
Yeah.
Then hopefully make the first
I
team from
remember
there.
Victor was there. I think he plays for Bolton now, the striker. I can't remember his last name. I do know his last name, but I don't want to butcher it on camera. So perhaps we'll talk about it off
Yeah,
camera.
we'll put it
He's,
on the
no,
screen.
he's gone on. He's playing League One now, doing really well. So, but he was there and stuff like that. But like going back to that story, I did struggle for confidence and stuff. And I remember there was a game. I can't remember who it was against, but my dad was away, probably on one of his tours. Mum at this stage still couldn't drive, and I remember picking up the phone to Ira's dad and saying, "Do you mind taking me up to Charlton? I've got a game there this Saturday. Dad's not here, can't take me. I've got no one to take me. Do you mind taking me?" And because I grew up with Ira, when the game kicked off, I wanted to try and prove a point and show Ira, well, look, you know, I'm doing really well and stuff. And I wanted to come across as if I was one of the main players. And it worked. Like I was really good, really, really good in the game. And I think we won. Had a disallowed goal that game as well, offside. But yeah, after that game then, got a call from Charlton. They was like, right, we want you to come in with the under 18s. So I'd gone from having my confidence down here to now my confidence being sky high. So it was just incredible. I went into that could have been when I saw Ricardo Fuller, because I went in then for day release. And that was quite a big thing then when you was younger. You used to get called out of school.
People leaving school, yeah.
All
someone
your
would
mates must have been so excited
Bro,
for you, huh?
I got
Jealous.
a story as well.
Jealous.
Yeah.
I got a story. So anyway, one of the teachers knocked on the door. Sorry, is Sam Bone in here? He needs to leave for training. You know, obviously you're walking out 10 feet tall. The McGregor strut. You're walking out. You're thinking you're the main man. But yeah, went and did the training again. Really nervous, as you would be. 15. Well, I could have been 14 at the time because I'm August. But 14-year-old me going to train with the under 18s. Obviously, you're very nervous. But went really well. And I remember after that session, because it was like late and school was like nearly finished, my dad was like, "We'll just go home." I was like, "No, we're not." I was like, "You're taking me back to school. I want everyone to see me walking in." I remember I had a little crush as well on this girl who used to go to the school.
Say names.
You want to shout her out?
Say
Yeah.
names.
No shout outs.
He still has a
I
crush
actually
on
know
her.
who it
That's
is.
why.
No.
Is it the same girl that you've mentioned to me before?
Yeah.
About- and then
We ended up having a relationship.
and then
Okay. never mind.
So yeah, no naming names. But anyway, yeah. So my dad was like, "Why do you want me to drop you into school? Like, what's going on here?" I didn't want to tell him. I want to go in and sort of speak about it in front of everyone. I was quite shy as well. Funnily enough, I was quite shy, and I went into science class, and I was like, "Oh, Sam, how was training?" And all the girls are like, "Sam," and giving me hugs, and me like going all red, giving them a hug. But yeah, that was such a cool memory, and then that was sort of the kickstart of it all. Once I'd played in the 18, I trained with the 18. As you can imagine, my confidence then is sky high. Like I'm going into the games full of confidence.
How was the transit? Because I know, obviously for most 14-year-olds, it's a big jump, but you were quite developed early on, right? Like you were
No,
you weren't?
bro, I was so skinny.
no,
Really?
but we I think you mean like height wise.
Yeah.
We saw,
I
like-
was tall, but I was really skinny.
Okay.
Really
Because
skinny.
I've seen a video on your Instagram, I think playing for like maybe like Kent County or whatever, and you go on a crazy run and you smack it
You're
in
quite
with your left.
powerful. You're
Yeah.
quite powerful.
You look just as
but that was
powerful
when I was
as me,
playing
and
for
I'm
my.
24.
That's when I was playing for my dad's academy. I left my dad's academy to go to Charlton, and I wasn't allowed to play for another team.
No, of course.
That was actually the last tournament I played in for my dad. It was the Kiel Cup in Manchester, and I was just like full of confidence then. Like obviously I was one of the main players in the
You're
team.
going off.
So
Yeah.
I'm doing all sorts like step overs and stuff, like completely.
Never been
playing.
this game as well.
Yeah, but
Never
like,
been.
as you can imagine, as you do when you're confident, you do everything. Training with the 18s, I'm going into the 16s games then full of confidence, and the under 18s actually had a game, and it's funny how it all works out. But they had a game against Maidstone at the Gallagher, and because it's obviously local, I had my friends come to the stadium to watch it. I balled out. I played well. I played really well, and I was actually offered my scholarship. I think it was the day after, so that's how I came to be a scholar and stuff.
It's funny how it's all gone almost full circle, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it's weird how I sort of thrive when I've got people coming to watch, and you know, my ex manager who will come on to, he always used to say like, go away from the game having people talk about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're playing in the match, have the people in the crowd going, "Wow, that Sam Bone was so good, wasn't he?" And I think that was my mentality from a young age, was when other people were watching, I was like, I want to show them, well, I'm the main guy here. Like I said to you about the Ira situation, like my confidence was so low, but because Ira and his dad came to watch me, I was like,
Had a point to prove.
I had a point to prove. I wanted to show him I was the main guy. So yeah, that's how the scholar come about, and obviously finished the season with the under 16s with Charlton, and then I did my scholarship, you know.
And I think it must be said, might be skipping a little bit further on forward.
But we'll come back to it.
But-
Don't worry about it.
You did end up playing against the Gavin Hoyt.
We're actually skipping on there because that was towards the end of my first year as a scholar. So as you can imagine, going to Charlton, start my scholarship, I actually moved out of home, moved to Eltham with Carl Lieburn, TJ Lieburn, who are actually big. They're very big within the Charlton community. TJ works for the club. Carl was an ex-player of the club. Their son, Miles Lieburn, actually plays for Charlton now.
Oh, really?
I remember him when he was this tall, yeah. So, first year was well, it went really well. Was playing, and then towards the end of that season, we played in the semi-final of the National League. So the way it works is if you finish first and second in the South League of Category 2, you play. So the top team would play the runners-up of the North League. So you know the teams up north. And I played really well in the semi-final. We won that. It was against Nottingham Forest at the Valley. And because I played really well, I was called up to the 23s to play in the Kent Cup final against Gillingham. That's when then Gavin Hoyt appears.
The Gavin Hoyt.
But that was incredible.
The best guy in football, huh?
Justin's
What a
brother,
guy.
man. Justin's brother.
What a guy. But I was 16 at the time, and yeah, sure enough, we played Gillingham at Gillingham Stadium, Priestfield. I really hope it's Priestfield, isn't it?
No, it is.
Yeah, I was going to say. But at the time, seven first team players were playing. So Leon Legg, Hessen Tyler, whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Gav was
Andy
playing, and we won the game. And that was just incredible. So then after that, we played in the final.
And I think you even said to me that, didn't Adam O'Lookman, was he on the bench for that game?
It was one of the two. It could have been Addy or Esri that wasn't involved. I'm nearly sure Esri wasn't involved.
You kept him out the side.
Addy could have. Yeah, now look what's happened. But Addy could have been on the bench. Regan Charles Cook and all were playing. Harry Lennon, Dylan Phillips, and stuff like that. So that was just incredible. But then we went on to win the. After that, obviously won that. Went on to win the Under-18s Cup, the National Cup, and I had a break. Obviously the off season and stuff. And I remember then going into my second year as a scholar, saying to myself, right, well, I've played for the 23s now, so my aim this season is going to be, I'll do pre-season with the 23s, and then I'll try and push first team around October, November. And again, it goes back to being naive and stuff like that. And my attitude then just changed, because when I went back for the second year scholar, I started doing pre-season with the under-18s, and I was like, what am I here for? Like, I've just played in the...
You got a bit big time.
Very big time. Very arrogant. And I wasn't a nice person to be around. I didn't listen to anyone. I thought I knew best, and ultimately we'll come on to that, but that was my downfall. But yeah, so anyway, I got little niggles. I wasn't living right, wasn't training properly. And yeah, it was my downfall, because come the end of the season then, the guy, you know, I still haven't found out about where's my pro contract. Like, boys are getting offered pro contract. Where's mine?
You're just
Like,
assuming that because
yeah,
of
I'm
what
just
you've done
yeah,
the previous
exactly.
season that
I'm just
you've
assuming
earned one
I'm
and
going to
that-
get, and because I'm young, I'm naive, I'm forgetting about the fact that I'm actually not a good person to be around.
You're not coachable.
I'm not. George Lapsley was our captain of under-18s. He plays for Gillingham now. Never used to listen to him, and he was the skipper. Never used to listen to him. Thought I knew best. And just like I said, just wasn't a nice person to be around within the environment. And come the end of the season then, I was effectively released. Now, having said that, the last 2 games, again, we finished first and second, so we played in the National League semi-final, won that, played in the final. I actually played really well in those 2 games because I sort of knew that all my contract's running out in a couple of weeks. I need to do something special here. So I copped on a little bit, played really well. And Steve Avery actually offered me a 6-month extension to my scholar. So I wouldn't be on the pro wages.
So like a schoolboy.
I'd still be on my scholarship wage. And I remember thinking, I'm done here. Like, why are you trying to offer me a scholar? Like, I'm going to go on and play for a better team. And I've, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then I'm going to find myself in the Football League. But it's funny how life works, because a few months after that, that's when I was diagnosed with the cancer, and we'll touch upon that. But that was I was obviously out of football for a little while, and that gave me time to reflect on. And I said it to the BBC last week in an interview. That gave me time to reflect on who I was as a person, and ultimately made me a better person for it. And those days now of being arrogant and thinking that I'm the best player ever, they're gone now. So. It was a learning curve, you know. And I'm glad it happened, because I always feel like I never have regrets. Never, ever, ever have regrets. And I feel like I needed that to learn as a person, and ultimately it's made me a better footballer for it as well, I think.
It's weird to imagine you not being a good teammate or someone to be around, because I think one thing that you really take pride in is I saw it firsthand when I came in as a trialist. So nice to everyone, you know, and you're one of those players you want to always have on the pitch with you. You know, last night's a perfect example. After 15 minutes, we're down. You get moved positions, don't say a word about it, right? And you continued and had a really good game in a different position, right? And I think a lot of people could, you know, maybe not be like over the moon about that, and you didn't say a word about it. And earlier in the season, you're playing center half. It's really nice. While obviously there's been negatives that have happened to you that have made you learn maybe a different way to be, it's crazy how much growth you've probably had through those years.
And like I said, I'm glad that I've gone through that, because ultimately football is a team game. It's not like boxing where you're on your own, UFC, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know, you've got 10 other players around you, as well as the boys on the bench. And the way I look at it is, all successful teams, it stems, and we actually said this in the podcast, it was about you being around the environment, although you're injured. It stems from having a good squad, good people, good attitude. You know, you look at successful teams, you've got experience in there, you've got young lads that are trying to break through, and they're at it every day. So I think that's very important, is to be a very, very good team player, and not be one of those players that, when something's going wrong, you throw your toys at the pram and you're like, oh, you have your head down. You've got to be one of those players that sort of drag your team with you, you know?
No, of course.
So it's so important to be like that.
And I think the saying is, one bad apple or one rotten apple
100%.
ruins the fruit bowl, isn't it?
100%.
Boils
I mean, I
everything.
haven't heard that saying before, brother, but...
No? Is
No.
that right?
I have.
What is
Thank
it?
you.
What is
You
it?
saved me there.
One bad
Hey,
fruit
it
ruins
actually
the
happened-
bowl.
Rotten apple.
It actually happened to me today when I went to reach for my apples. They're all
There you
gone
go.
now. It must have been one.
And I think I must touch back on the cancer. Obviously, it's something that Connor and I haven't gone through, and that many people won't have gone through. And I think it's also it's amazing that you have obviously come out of the other side, and that you can comment on what you've gone through, and you can speak so highly that you're actually almost glad that it happened, because it kind of changed the way that your mental and the way that you now approach life, and the way that you see things through almost like a different lens.
Can you actually just give us more of a backstory after Charlton and how you found out?
So, yeah, it was the night of my auntie's wedding, Auntie Bella. We'd all decided to go to Cyprus. She wanted it there in the back garden of my nan's house. But it was that evening because I sleep on my front. I went to bed and it was really uncomfortable, and it was funny because a few years before that, Dylan Tombidis, I actually again touched upon this in all the interviews that I've had to do during this FA Cup run, but he'd passed away from testicular cancer, and I always remember subconsciously just thinking, well, if there was a lump there, would I ever be able to, notice that it's there? Like, what happens if I have a lump there and I don't realise and, I just get ill and then I die? It was always in the back of my mind. And yeah, sure enough, I'd gone to bed that evening, really uncomfortable. And I said to myself, right, tomorrow I'll wake up and if it's still sore, I'll check. And I still remember that moment as if it was yesterday. Woke up, really sore, took myself up to the bathroom, and sure enough, there was a lump there. You wouldn't miss it. So for any viewers that, get inspired by this and find the lump, or are thinking, or what would happen if it's there and I can't find it? You do find it. Like, it's there. You can't miss it. Obviously, the testicle as well swells up as well. So that's a big sign. It's a big sign. So what had happened then, I returned back to England, and by this time then it'd become obviously knowledge that there was something there and stuff, but I remember my family telling me that I have to go and get it sorted, but because I was so, and looking back, it was probably silly from me, but because I was so adamant and trying to find the club, like it goes back to football, I sort of tried to put it behind me. And as you do, there's millions of people in this world. The last thing you think of is you have cancer, So obviously the opportunity arose to go to Man United, Sunderland, Bristol City on trial.
My boys.
But obviously it didn't work out. So it's funny because when I come back from Bristol City, I was watching, and I won't go into too much detail with this, but I was watching a show, and it just so happened someone on the show had terminal cancer because they were too scared to go and get it checked out. And that sort of something clicked in my head. So I remember a few days later, I was like calling my mum. I was like, "Mum, look, I want to get this sorted now. I still feel it. Yeah, there's still swelling there. Can we arrange to go to the hospital?" So she sorted it for me. And anyway, I get there and I speak to the doctor, and he's doing his checks and all, and he turns around and he says, "No," "No, you're fine." He says, "There's nothing there." So in the back of my head, I'm going, "Well, no, hang on a minute.
What is this then?"
Yeah. Are you actually a doctor? There is something there. But I said to him, I said, "Look, can you send me off for a CT scan or whatever it is?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay, look, just to clear your mind, I'll send you for a scan." So he sends me off for the scan, and sure enough, then it comes back that there's a tumour there. So we get the phone call, "Yeah, Mr. Bone, there's a tumour's been found, blah, blah, blah. What happens is now you need to go to the hospital and have a meeting." Now, I'm still quite young at this point. I'm like, it's going over the top of my head, So my dad takes me to the hospital, and we get there, and I ball in with a Lucasade in one hand, a yogurt in the other. Didn't anticipate to be there for that long. Thought it was just going to be a 2-3 minute sort of meeting. First thing I go in there, he goes, "Do you have a parent with you?" Now I was like, straight away it clicked. Then I was like, well, that doesn't sound too good. And I was actually sending it to you yesterday, bro, because you asked me about it. So my dad comes in, and it's sort of still going over the top of my head, and all I hear the doctor say is that we found a tumour and we need to remove your right testicle. And I promise you now, I went white as a ghost. I remember asking the lady, because they had to have someone there. I remember asking her, I said, "Can you just get me some water?" And I swear to God, I don't remember anything else. I don't remember anything else in that meeting. It just went in one ear, went out the other,
And as it would, you're a perfectly healthy 17-year-old boy.
Well, that's what I mean.
Your first thing is, how do I become a pro footballer?
Exactly.
What next step do I have?
And like I said, you never think it's going to be you.
Of course.
Never.
You never think
You always
it's
hear
going
the
to be
stories.
Exactly. You never. And in fairness now, in my family, there was my nan, but there was no one else who had cancer. So I was like, what? I've got cancer. Well, actually, sorry, I didn't know at the time that I had cancer. We obviously had to remove the right testicle, and then they did the checks, and it turns out that it was cancerous. But I remember I was walking up Maidstone High Street, and I get a call on my phone from the doctor, and he says, "Mr. Bone, we have your results from the analysis." And I said to him, I said, "Do you mind speaking to my mum?" I said, "I don't want to take this call right now." So I went home, and my mum takes the call that evening, and I'm upstairs. You can imagine me. I'm just upstairs, literally sat there twiddling my thumbs, going, "Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to be said?" And I go down there, and she says to me, "There's good news, but there's bad news." I was like, "Right, okay then." And she says, "The good news is you've caught it. They've caught it really early. However, the bad news is you could have to do a short dosage of chemotherapy or radiotherapy." And I remember during that time, it was obviously very worrying. I was very confused, so many different emotions. And I can imagine my family would have been feeling the same. But never did I see them worry, never did I see them upset, crying, you know. For my parents, it must have been horrible knowing that their child has a tumour. It must have been horrible. But I think their energy I sort of fed off their energy. So when my mum told me that, I remember going upstairs, put the headphones in. I love music, so I put the headphones in. I'm listening to Chris Brown.
Some bad tunes he likes to listen to.
And I wasn't listening to Spanish reggaeton at that moment as well.
He tried to introduce us to some, and some of
I
it's
know
all right.
you like my Spanish stuff.
There's a few songs that I like, but you
Yeah.
just blast them at your house as
On the
loud as you
speaker,
can.
though, on
He's
the
like,
speaker, it's
"Oh,
nice."
the bass, and you'll hear
The bass.
I think poor neighbours.
I know, yeah. But yeah, sure enough, I listened to Chris Brown, and I remember coming downstairs and saying, "Let's do it."
Bro thinks it's a movie, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a move. Let's do it.
I know Chris Brown gets you in the mood for that.
No,
kind
but
of
honestly, like music motivates me. Like in fact, you know it. I've always got my headphones. Always listen to music. It motivates me so much. So yeah, honestly, for that, I think it was about a week and a half then in between that phone call and the meetings that I was scheduled to have, I sort of prepared myself to have some sort of, whether it was radiotherapy or chemotherapy. I had it in my head, like I'm doing it. And I remember, because this is one of the most special memories of my life, I remember going into the meeting with the surgeon. So I had a meeting with the surgeon on let's say, for example, Wednesday, and I had a meeting with the Royal Marsden, which is a cancer-specific hospital, on the Thursday. And like I said, I'd prepared for the news, and I go in, and the surgeon says, we were obviously talking, and he says, "Mr. Bone," he says, you've caught this so early. From my analysis, you don't need any treatment." And I was like still can't find words to explain it. I was just like, what? And I was just so happy. So happy. And he said, "Look," he says, "although I'm the surgeon and stuff, and I sort of know my stuff, the final say will be with the Royal Marsden, because they are a cancer-specific hospital. So they might want to put you on radiotherapy just to be safe, to be safe." But as you can imagine, my Auntie Bella, again, going back, my mum didn't drive at this point, Auntie Bella's taken us. And it was just such a special time. We actually had McDonald's breakfast then to celebrate straight after the meeting.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. But that was just, it was just incredible. Like, just so special. To hear him say that was incredible, And the following day, then we went to the Royal Mars, and it was the same. They turned around and said, "Yeah, you don't need any treatment. You can just crack on and have your regular checkups."
There's not many people that can not many people our age and in our situation as football players that can have experienced a similar type of relief. It might be, well, you don't think you're gonna get a club and you get a club, or you don't think you're gonna beat an injury and you beat an injury. You were not sure if you're gonna beat cancer.
Yeah.
And that must have been just the best day ever.
Oh, it was incredible. But I remember as well, my motivation throughout the whole process was, when you're young, you have aspirations to go and play in the Premier League and be this famous footballer that everyone knows. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to get to the Premier League, and I'm going to be this cancer survivor, and I'm going to inspire millions of people and show them that although you've been knocked down in life, you can always come back and rise from it. Obviously, the Premier League thing hasn't worked out.
But the fifth
but
round of the
that's
FA Cup.
what's so beautiful about the FA Cup. I've met some incredible people throughout this whole journey. I've done a number of interviews with the Sunday Times, BBC with Neil. Actually did a Spanish interview the other day as well, talking about it, and it's just incredible. And it's so funny how life works now. I'm actually in a position where I've been able to shine some spotlight on it, and throughout this whole process now, if this can raise awareness for it and inspire young kids, young adults to go and get checked, then that's my job done, and that's something that I'll really be prideful for.
And I think that's so admirable. And I must say that there's actually a few boys in the change room that didn't even know.
Yeah, Lamar said it to me a few weeks back. Yeah,
and I think that I'm also really happy that we've created this podcast in a way, because I feel like even though we're very close, we've never really been able to sit down and talk.
I've never sat down and spoken to you in depth about it
like that, and it's such a serious and such a sensitive subject. And as you can probably tell, me and Connor, we've never been in that situation, so it's hard for us to comment and to add things to it. But that was actually a little bit emotional, just hearing Bony talk about that, and in depth about something that our close friend and someone we consider like a brother has gone through that, and even people in the change room weren't even aware of that. So I'm actually thankful we've created this to even be able to help others.
Exactly.
So after this, unbelievable relief, how quick was your thinking? Can I get back into football? What's my next club? My next path?
Yeah. No. So when I was told then no treatment was required, and I'd effectively beaten cancer, I was just partying, using that as an excuse to go out and sort of drink every week. And I remember Biceps, we'd go to one of the local nightclubs in Maidstone Gallery. So for a good solid month, I was just celebrating with them and drinking and stuff. And it wasn't until my dad sort of sat me down, who obviously we've touched on it, had a huge influence on my career. He sat me down and was like, right, the cancer stuff's done now. Do you want to become a footballer? And I was, obviously my first thought was yeah. So I had to, stop going out as often. I had to start training again. Around this period, I think it was 6 weeks after the operation, that's when I could start ramping up my training. So I started training, and my dad suggested that I go to Cyprus to sort of get away from the distractions of going out every weekend and stuff. And I went and trained with my, on my own, but obviously just with my nan and granddad living in their place in Cyprus for about a month. The month of December, we come back just before Christmas. And just before Christmas Day, I had a meeting with my agent, who at the time was Paolo Vanazza. He suggested that, he had contacts in Ireland. Pre-season was starting there in January. And because it was around that time, he said, look, you're not match fit. He said, in order to go into clubs, you have to be reasonably fit to stand out. You're going in there, you have to be you have to be better than what they've got in order to get signed. So anyway, he's convinced me to go to Ireland, and we'd gone there initially for 3 weeks just to do pre-season training. But I've said it to you off camera before, I absolutely loved my time there. The manager at the time, Stephen Bradley, was kind enough to let me train with the team. I played 3 matches there, and effectively it was used to get fit and then come back to England to find the club. But I just loved my time in Ireland, and luckily enough then, towards the end of the trial, he said that we wanna sign you. And straight away I jumped it. It wasn't much money. I think it was about €200 a week. And I was like 100%. And that was the start of my time in Ireland,
And Shamrock Rovers is a very big club.
Massive.
Very well-known
Huge
club. So, I mean, you potentially would have been happy with that. I think you would have been happy with that before even the operation.
Yeah, 100%. I just wanted to get back into football.
Yeah.
And I remember going there, and people used to say it's such a good platform to showcase your talents. If you do well in this league, it was my first professional club in terms of playing in front of a crowd and stuff. They were like, if you do well in this league, you can get moves and stuff. So that was a big incentive of mine was to go there and do well. And
you're on FIFA?
And I managed to
First
get
time
on
on
FIFA,
FIFA?
yeah, which
Yeah.
was that's ticked off the old bucket list now, which is incredible. But I just feel so indebted to Stephen Bradley because he gave me that opportunity to come back into football. I'll forever be grateful for the opportunity that he gave me, and I had some incredible experiences. Like you said, Shamrock Rovers is a huge club, even more so now as we speak because they've won the last 4 league titles, played in the Europa Conference League group stages. I think it was last season or something. So huge club.
Is that where you made your Europa League debut?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we played against. It was so cool. We played against Starnan, who are from Iceland. So I got to go and spend a few days in Iceland, and then we got to the next round. Played against Mlada Boleslav, who are from Czech Republic.
Sounds like a made up name.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
To be
But
fair, the
they
way he was
were-
trying to speak earlier and trying to say some things.
They were.
He's fluent in Czech, not in English.
They honestly, boys, they were incredible. One of their midfielders used to play for Reading in the Premier League, so he was just a joke. But that was such a cool experience. But I didn't start the game. I wasn't really starting my first year at Rovers, and then my second year I played more, started more, and we finished third the first season. So we were again in the Europa League qualifiers. It wasn't the Conference League at this stage; it didn't exist. But we played against AIK, who were the Swedish champions, and at the time were undefeated. And we played against them. We got beaten our first game at home 1-0, and then we won. We didn't win, but in 90 minutes we won 1-0 to take it to extra time at their place.
Wow.
And that was so cool. We played in the National League stadium, the national team stadium, sorry, and that was just an incredible experience. But Seb Larsson signed for them the week of the second leg, and he wasn't eligible yet to play in the second leg,
way.
and I was gutted.
What a player.
I used to watch him at Sunderland. I used to
Sunderland, yeah.
copy his technique
Yeah.
Free kicks.
for his free kicks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, used to copy his techniques.
Unbelievable.
And I was gutted, and he was doing the radio commentary for the match. But that was the last taste I got of Europe then, because finished the season there. My third season, then I found it really difficult to break into the side. We signed Jack Byrne, who played for City, Aaron McAneff, who was well established in the league, and Greg Bolger, who was well established in the league, and that was sort of the midfield three. So I couldn't get into the team, and then I had a really bad hamstring injury when I managed to get into the side. We played against Bray Wanderers in the cup, and hamstring went as I went to sprint, and I was out for about 4 months with that, and that was the end. Then in the summer, then Stephen Bradley said, Waterford want to sign you on a loan or an 18-month deal. It's up to you. It's your decision. And at the time, I was just like, I wasn't really enjoying it towards the end of my Shamrock Rovers stint because I wasn't playing and stuff like that. So
And is it one of those when it's phrased like that? Oh, it's a loan deal, or you could go for 18 months. Is that? Do you take that as almost a hint of?
If you don't,
Yeah, we don't want you.
Yeah,
anymore?
see you as-
100%. Yeah, I knew that they didn't want me, but because I wasn't playing, I was desperate to.
Yeah.
As soon as I found out Waterford were interested, I was like, "Get me there."
Because that's all you want to do as a footballer.
I just wanted to
course.
play.
Especially
I just wanted
your
to
time
play.
out of the game.
And-
yeah.
and especially
It's-
when you've moved abroad,
Yeah.
you're no longer with your family,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
factors come into it.
Yeah, so I was just like, "Get me to Waterford," but I just loved my time at like the boys and I loved them. All right, yeah, my last year didn't go to plan as what I wanted it to, and I ended up not enjoying it as much. But the 2 years before that were just incredible. Met some incredible people and stuff like that. And I remember going to Waterford. I was a bit sort of indecisive. I was like, although I want to do this, I'm leaving a club that I'm really comfortable at. And I remember the first day I got home, I started crying. I was like, I don't know if this is the right decision. But it's like, again, it's funny how football works because I absolutely loved my time at Waterford. Well, I ended up signing the loan deal because I didn't know what would happen. So I signed the loan deal, and then come the end of the season, they offered me a deal for the following season.
And I think it must be said how much you must love Waterford, because our good
Yeah.
friend Christy Patterson has
Yeah.
now gone out there.
Yeah.
And I remember
Agent Sam.
you being
Agent
having a
Sam.
conversation with him, and he was asking,
Yeah.
is it right to go out there? And you were all for it. You were saying
100%.
absolutely love it. Still full-time football.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've done really well now, and they've got promoted to the Prem or to the top division.
Waterford is it's a great club, boys. Like a serious club, and I just fell in love with the place. That season, then where I signed on a contract, the manager Alan Reynolds built an incredible side. You know, the boys were fantastic. That's where Mikey O'Connor.
We've heard a lot about Mikey.
Mikey, got to get him on the pod.
We've heard a
Shout
lot
out
about you, Mikey.
Got to get him on the pod. Great guy. But he was there as well. So I was just fell in love with the place. And come the end, COVID and all happened, but we'll skip that part. Come the end of the season, now at the time Waterford had a reputation for every season they would literally offload their whole squad. So I think the year before that they'd actually finished 4th or something, got Europe because they wasn't in the league for more than 2 years. Europe was taken off them. Anyway, that's another story to get into. But that side that did really well for them that season all left. So I sort of knew towards the end of my time at Waterford that season, I thought, like, all of the team could be gone here. And I was panicking. I was thinking, no, because I don't want to leave and stuff. And in fairness, you know, because we did well that season, we were tipped to go down. And we actually, the last day of the season, we lost to Finn Harps. And if we'd won that, we would have got European spots.
Got in.
Yeah, so that was horrible at the time. But because we'd done well, the club turned around to a few of us and said, yeah, we want to offer you deals, but they offered us the same money. Now I was like, well, no, because we've done well. We want to...
You've exceeded expectations.
Yeah, exactly. We want a little pay rise or something. And at the time, Pats are onto me, Stephen O'Donnell. He was calling my phone. I was injured at the time. That's when I did my hamstring tear. I had it, obviously took it off the bone. I had to have surgery and stuff. And I remember taking the call from him while I was in hospital about what my situation was for next season. So he was like hounding my phone and I was getting stressed out about Waterford. And in the end then, Waterford were just like, yeah, like we're not going to try and keep the boys anymore. We've offered you the deal. If you don't want to accept it, you're free to go.
So Stephen O'Donnell gave you a call while you were still recovering from your hamstring injury.
I had to call him and say, oh, Stevie, can I call you back? I'm just in hospital. At the time I remember thinking, should I be telling him this? Because if he finds out that I'm actually in hospital, he might not want to sign me again.
Yeah, well, I think they would have found out when you crutched into your medical.
Well, there we go, literally.
And if you crutch as slow as this lad, it would have been a long time. A long time. He's been told he can partial weight bear. Then we're going back to him. Partial weight bear.
I do partially.
You want to see him?
gosh.
If I know, we got the video.
We'll put a video.
Okay.
When Casey Palmer
when
tries to
Casey
talk
Palmer
to you,
speaks, yeah.
and he's going so slow. And Casey's even looking at him like, that's not partial weight bearing.
Anyway, yeah, so obviously Stevie's in contact with me, and obviously with them when Waterford said that I was able to, well, I was gone. My only real option was Pats. And coming back to the story in the start of the episode when they were shouting abuse at me and stuff, I was like, well, they don't really like me here, but Stevie seems to like me, so perhaps I'll do it. And yeah, sure enough, then we got the contract sorted, and I remember signing for Pats, and in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm gutted this Waterford thing hasn't worked out. I was gutted to leave Waterford, and the Waterford fans know that I'm not trying to justify why I left and stuff.
He wants a new deal. He wants a new deal.
It's my story.
Ella Kobe's be fuming.
No, it's just it's just my story, and that's the way it panned out. But again, going back to how football works, obviously left Waterford, thought my world had tipped upside down again, and I had one of the best years of my career at Pats. You know, we won the FAI Cup final, finished second in the league, had a good running in the league. You know, I think we took Shamrock Rovers all the way by the last 6 or 7 games or something. And yeah, it was one of the best years of my career.
Now this week I did actually read somewhere that you said that getting to the 5th round of the FA Cup.
Oh yeah, it tops it. Yeah, of course it tops it.
But I also heard that you did have a little tactical cramp in the FA Cup final because you didn't want to take a penalty. Now this is just a little rumour.
Wow.
No, I remember the week before that final. I think there was like between the last game of the season and the final. I think we had it was a week, but before that we had the last game of the season and we'd secured second. So after trainings, Stevie was doing position specific running with us. So I knew I was playing right back, so he'd have me running up and down the line. Midfielders would be doing short, sharp stuff, like getting to the ball, dropping back off. And I was going into the game going, this is going to work. I've done all my extra running. Like, he was getting us running before, saying that the Aviva's huge, we need to be fit. About 60 minutes in, because the occasion was first ever time playing in front of 38,000 fans, I think it was.
More caffeine than normal.
More caffeine than normal. That probably didn't help me. But yeah, about 60 minutes in, I'm going, oh my God, I got cramp here in my calves. I got cramp in my calves. And then it got to about the 93rd minute or something, and I just couldn't go anymore. And I was dragged off. Well, not dragged off, I was subbed off. And it went to penalties. I remember thinking, thank God I'm not taking a penalty here.
And that must have, I mean, I think it's something you've told us about. Your family didn't get over to Ireland often.
No, that was the first time.
Yeah, they were able to come for the final.
That was the first time I had all my family. I can't remember if my brother was there, but my dad was there, mum, auntie. At the time, the ex-missus and all her friends were there as well. So I just remember that being really, really special. And like I said, that was my first silverware I'd won in football. First time I played in front of a crowd that big, in a stadium that big. So it was so special.
And so, come the off season, what happens then?
Got released. I did. So what had happened was
that cramp. They said, he's not fit enough.
What had happened was Stevie. So before the final, there was rumours about Stevie going to Dundalk, and we had no clue about it, But a few days after the final, it come out in the press that he was going to Dundalk. He had his playing career there. He's a legend at Dundalk. One of like the big names. If you talk about Dundalk, Stevie, I don't know, comes up in the conversation. Club legend. But he'd gone to Dundalk, and Pat's actually offered me. So the guy who was there, like sort of taking charge while they were trying to find a manager, offered me a new deal, and because it was the same money, I turned around and was like, well, no, I want to try and negotiate, as you do. I want to try and negotiate a little bit more. You try and be cheeky with it, obviously. And they signed then a manager, I think a day later, and that was it then. Didn't hear anything. Didn't hear anything. I'm just waiting up.
Dead.
It's fun. No, it's funny. It's funny because in the group chat, boys were typing in saying like, "Have you heard from the new manager?" I won't name names. Have you heard from the new manager? Everyone's like, yeah. I remember calling up a few of my pals that I lived with, and I was like, "Boys, have you heard from him?" He's like, "Yeah, no, he called me 2 days ago." Like,
Told me how excited he is for
I'm
the
just
season.
checking my phone and saying, "Have I got a missed call?" No, I didn't hear anything. But luckily, Stevie rated me as a player, and he offered me a deal. He offered me a deal at Dundalk, and so my time at Dundalk was really enjoyable. Did really well in the league. I think before that season, there was the Dundalk are one of the biggest teams in Ireland, and
I remember them playing Arsenal actually.
yeah, exactly. So they've always been. I think there was a period when I first went there, they were always winning the league and stuff, and they sort of dropped off that. I think they finished maybe 5th or 6th in the season before I signed, and we went there. I think we finished joint second with Derry. Shamrock Rovers obviously won the league again, but really enjoyable. But then at the end of the season, Stevie sort of pulled me into the office. I remember we went on an off-season trip to Berlin. I've told you boys off camera. Great trip with the boys. But after that, I'd come back and I was sort of preparing like, I wonder what they're going to offer me in terms of my next money and stuff. I'd become really comfortable in Ireland. And I didn't want to leave. I sort of saw my future, well, definitely for the next season playing with Dundalk. And Stevie, we had the meeting. He had like individual meetings with all the players, and he was just honest with me. And he just said, "Look, I'm going to struggle to." I think maybe a few months before that, I was going around saying that I wanted to play midfield, and he said to me, "Look, I can't promise you game time there, and I think it's best if you go off and maybe try and get a club where you're going to play consistently." And I remember at the time that was really tough to take. That was quite stressful because I was with my ex-partner, and I didn't want to sort of bounce from club to club in Ireland. So that was quite stressful in terms of what I was going to do next. And I had a bit of time I went on holidays. I had a bit of time to sort of think about what I wanted to do. And I spoke with my agent and I said, well, maybe let's try and look at England. It was always something that I wanted to do, although I was comfortable in Ireland. It would have been a regret of mine if I didn't come back to England and try the leagues. So I always had it in the back of my mind. I do want to one day play in England. And I remember I was on a holiday And in fact, I'd come back from holiday. I was just chilling in my ex-partner's house, and I get a call from my agent. He says, Oldham want to look at you. So straight away, I was like, oh, Oldham, a huge club.
Massive.
And I was like,
Shout out Mickey P.
I was like, yeah, definitely. I was like, this is perfect. He said, they want you to play in a trial game. I can't remember. I think it was against Salford, actually. And I was like, well, look, I've just been to Berlin, just been to Cyprus, just been to Paris, Amsterdam. I was like, I can't just rock up into Oldham and play in midfield and try and do well. So I was like, look, if you can try and get me in there maybe a week before so I can try and get match sharp and stuff, that would be helpful. And he, in fairness to him, he sorted it. So I got there on the Thursday. Timmy Abraham was there, and I knew Timmy from when I was at Charlton. He was brilliant, made me feel welcome and stuff. And I get there, and because it had been snowing the week before, where they normally trained, you couldn't train there because the pitch had frozen off and stuff. So they had a game on the Tuesday. So as you do on the Thursday, the boys that don't play, they do a session while the starters do recovery. And I get in there, do a little session, perfect, feeling quite sharp, The next day, then we have to train at an Astro, but because Oldham was struggling at the time, that whole session was just geared towards shape. They were playing Torquay on the Sunday, so the manager was just doing shape. So I was out of it. I was just the feeder. I was just passing balls into the midfielders so they can go and play.
Wrapping them as hard as you
Literally
can.
felt like the biggest waste of space ever. But that was that. I did that session, and then the next day, it was Saturday. And we'd managed to rent out like this. It was a little bit bigger, than a five-a-side pitch. Like goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all it was, they did a bit of shape, and me and two other young academy lads had to sit on the side. So the sports scientist was like, well, we'll do some running. And at the time I was like, well, this is actually really good for me. I need this. I need this for the game on Tuesday. So I was actually quite happy to be doing running, and I was doing it, the session finished, and then the next day they had Torquay, and they won 3-2. So the manager's given them a couple of days off, and the head of recruitment then said to me, look, Sam, because of the weather, it looks more than likely the game is going to be cancelled. So I was like, right, okay. So he says, go back to Maidstone, go back to your family. Next week, we'll try and get you back up again once the snow's melted and stuff like that. And on the way back, I was on the train, and what had happened was, you know how the tannoy comes on, is that we will shortly be arriving at Maidstone East. So you're reading out all the stations that we'll stop at, and it just clicks. I was like, hang on a minute. Maidstone are in the same league as Oldham. They're actually higher at the moment than Oldham. Like, let me see if I can get in with Maidstone. It'd be great, my family go to the games and stuff. Imagine me playing for Maidstone. It'd be incredible. So I text him, and I've got the text on my phone because I see them. I go,
Pause. I don't know how you didn't realize that until the train.
bro, I swear on my life.
Like
I'm not even trying. I swear on my life, I'm not even trying to
Brother's not
exaggerate.
switched on, man.
Because the summer before that, I wasn't playing at Dundalk during the summertime when you boys started pre-season, and I was I was saying to my agent then about trying to perhaps go to Maidstone. Could it work there? Dundalk just let me go and I go and play for Maidstone. But and I've actually showed you the text. It didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. People got in contact with the manager, and the manager just said no, like we don't want to look at him and stuff like that. So I sort of thought that was done. So that's probably why subconsciously why I didn't, straight away say it to my agent. Well, what about Maidstone? So anyway, he works his magic, gets on the phone to Hakan, and sure enough, Hakan said, yeah, you can come in and train with us. So I was like, as you can imagine, my hometown club, I was so happy. I remember texting it into the group chat, so buzzing. I was telling them, look, I'm gonna be going on trial at Maidstone, and you boys had actually got beaten. So that was on the Monday. I travelled back. You boys played Dorking on the Tuesday evening and got
remember
beat.
that.
Yeah, Bobby Joe.
Conceded 2 headers after the 90th minute.
Yeah.
We were 2-1
Oh
up,
my
lost
God.
3-2.
Yeah. So
oh my God.
Bobby Joe Taylor, Brits,
Yeah,
who
I
used to
come
play for
in.
Maidstone.
Yeah. I come in on Thursday, and there's as you do, you have your meetings after, you reflect on the game and stuff. And it's fair to say it wasn't the best of atmospheres. I remember rocking up going, what have I come into here?
Yeah,
you
few
know?
choice words.
But at the time, I think someone was going on in the background, whether there was a takeover and stuff. So there wasn't money to put me on a deal and stuff, you know. So anyway, I grinded it out, like at the time I was turning down offers from Ireland, good offers as well, because I just wanted this Maidstone thing to work. And in fairness to Hakan, he was saying, "Look, I want to get you in, but there's no money at the moment." And I told him what I was offered in Ireland, and he was like, "We're not going to be able to match that." But I suppose I was just going, I just want something to work. So I wasn't leaving. You remember, I just kept turning it up. The boys were probably saying to themselves, what's he still doing here, you know? I often say it to Zach, actually. What was I still doing coming and training with Maidstone? But obviously during that time then, it was against York, wasn't it? Where Hakan then, he left the club and stuff. And I remember that was like the final straw. I was like, and it's funny, I was like, I'm not going back. And Tanner, is it Tanner? Tanner. So I'd become friends with one of the trialists as well, the American guy. And I remember him
The
texting
other American guy.
Two
Brits, two Yanks.
Yeah, that's right. But I remember him texting me saying, "Yo, bro, have you seen Hakan's left?" And I was just like, I can't do this anymore, man. Like, I'm just wasting time here. And so that was, I think it was Tuesday morning then I was told that there's training was on. And I remember saying to him, I'm not going in. I'm not going in. So I didn't set an alarm. And Oscar, God bless Oscar, because
His little cousin.
my little cousin Oscar.
Not so little.
Yeah.
In fairness, and I've said it to fans and stuff, but obviously when I moved back to Maidstone, during my time in Ireland, my parents had split. So my mum's now Westmoreland, dad's in Ashford. And I had to move into my auntie. So Oscar was sharing a room with my auntie to allow space for me to stay in the house, because it was ideal because she lives in Sutton Road, literally a 20-minute walk to the stadium. So I was like, I'm not going in. Oscar comes in, forgets his blazer for school. So at this point, I'm awake. I was like, well, I might as well go in now, just see what's being said, because he's woken me up. I might as well just go in. You know, who knows what can happen. Anyway, go in, Gaffer's first session, caught his eye, and then I remember him pulling me
Ryan Gordon session,
yeah. I remember the Gaffer pulling me after training, and he said, I like what I've seen. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to look at your clips, and then we'll decide as a management team what we want to do.
His little media trained
at this stage, I was like, well, that's brilliant. I've caught George Elokobi's eye. Like, he's obviously looked at my clips, and Bill Williams was on the phone there, and we managed to negotiate a 1-month deal at the time, which was fantastic. I was like, absolutely, I'll take it. And because I did well then in that month, they offered me an extension, and that was that.
And I've got to say, George Elokobi's first ever signing in football management was Samuel George Bone.
Yeah, who knows who's going to join that group, you know? There could be some future elite players in that group.
Like Conor Kelly.
Well, I wasn't thinking me, but yeah, maybe there could be.
I think sometimes Gaffer thinks, unfortunately, he was stuck with me because I was on a 2-year deal, and he had to sign me for the second year. So, cheers, Gaffer.
Nice. It was special, man. Obviously, when I signed that month's deal, and although last season didn't go to plan and stuff, it was quite tough. We were getting beat most weekends and stuff like that. It was difficult, but I suppose playing for your hometown club is special, And like I said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. Like, it was nice for me to obviously share my story in terms of everything that I've gone through, and yeah, I suppose that's the end of it. If you've enjoyed it, please, what is it again? Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. It really helps the channel out. We've also got a vlog coming as well. I was doing my vlogging skills for the past couple of days, so we've got a nice little vlog from the behind the scenes stuff of the Coventry match, which is, hopefully it comes out all right. If it doesn't, blame the editor.
The Irish Matt Sheldon.
Yeah. There we go, exactly. But no, if you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, share it. It obviously helps out the channel hugely, and it helps us to continue growing. So.